Hello there, audio adventurers and YouTube explorers. It's your host, Dino, beaming into your brainwaves. Today is 20,250,523, a fantastic Friday. And I've been digging through the digital archives. Oh yes, and found an absolute gem that's still making waves. So let's tune into this trending paper, shall we? Alright, then you pull up the details for myself here. The title is Score Distillation Sampling for Audio, Source Separation, Synthesis, and Beyond. And if you're curious, which you totally should be, the card is Parent. We receive Corwin and Oracle 5.4621 baht. It's long, so only I bookmarked it for later. Now, what's this Audio-SDS thing all about, you ask? Imagine you have a super smart AI, and that's learned a ton about how audio should sound from, like, the entire internet's worth of audio. This paper from clever folks at NVIDIA and MIT takes an idea, specifically Score Distillation Sampling inside, which was a big hit from making trained models from text, and says, hey, why not use this for sound? The big problem they're tackling, you see, is that making AI do specific audio tasks. It created a unique sound effect or separating instruments from a song. Usually needs tons of special data for each little thing. And audio itself is tricky. It's very fragmented. It has these long patterns over time. It can be super noisy. So, Audio-SDS is like a universal translator, using one powerful, pre-trained audio model to guide all sorts of audio tasks, without needing to retrain it for every single new idea. Clever. So, how does it work? Picture this. You have some parameters that define a sound, maybe for a synthesizer or a physics simulation. Audio-SDS takes the sound these parameters make, and then you give it a text prompt like, "The creaky wooden door." Yeah, then sort of listens to your sound and compares it to what it thinks. And creaky wooden door what should sound like based on its vast training. It then nudges your parameters, little by little. So the sound they produce gets closer and closer to matching your text prompt. It's like a gentle guide whispering, with a bit more creak here, less whoosh there. And they made some smart tweaks to make it work better for audio first. There's this thing called Decoder-SDS. Turns out, pushing changes back through the audio in another part was a bit unstable, let's say. So they cleverly sidestepped that. Then, they use Spectrogram Emphasis, which means the AI pays extra attention to those sharp, quick sounds and the high-fine details, which are super important for realistic audio. And finally, multi-step denoising, which is like giving AI a few tries to clean up the sound at each step, making the guidance smoother and the results, much nicer. Now for the fun part. What can you actually do with this? They show off 3 really cool examples. First, FM synthesis. You know, those classic 80s synth sounds. You can get it a prompt like drum, bass, a vacuum, and Audio-SDS would tweak the synthesizer as settings to try and create that. It's like having an AI sound designer for your synth patches. Second, physically informed pack synthesis. This is where it gets really interesting for, say, game developers. We can describe an impact plot with a wooden spoon, and the system adjusts the phases by a sound model, tuning things like frequencies and damping, to make a sound that not only matches your description but also sounds, well, physically plausible. How cool is that? And third, and this one's a biggie, proper to source separation. Imagine you have a recording of a saxophone player on a busy street. You can tell Audio-SDS, okay, give me the saxophone in one track, and even the traffic noise in another track, and it tries to pull them apart, guided by your text. They even talk about using other eyes, like large language models. They help suggest what things you might want to separate from a complex audio mix. That's like, let's love your audio editing. So, how does this touch our everyday lives? Well, in music production, the possibilities. Musicians could just type what kind of sound they're imagining. Migrate this into lead with a slow attack valve, and the AI helps create it or separate stems for easier remixing. The games in RAR. This is huge. Instead of a limited library of sound effects, games could generate unique sounds on the fly. A heavy metal door creaking up in a damp cave, making worlds feel much more live and dynamic. And in voice technology, think about cleaning up noisy recordings. I can interview taking a windy day, just by describing what you like here. Or even for podcasters, generating custom sound effects with text. Compared to other tech, Audio-SDS is pretty. Traditional sound design means fiddling with a million knobs and sliders. Many AI audio tools need to be trained from scratch on specific datasets for each new task. But Audio-SDS uses one already smart Pretrained model and cleverly distills its knowledge to control other, often simpler, sound generators or editors. It's more flexible than many dedicated source separation tools, because you can just describe what you want to separate. Of course, it's not magic, not yet. It relies on how good that initial pre-trained audio model is. If the model hasn't heard many examples of, say, a singing whale in a cathedral, it might struggle a bit, and it works best for shorter audio clips right now. But wow, Audio-SDS really opens up a new way to interact with sound, making complex audio tasks more accessible and, dare I say, more fun, all driven by the power of words. It's a fantastic step towards more intuitive and creative audio tools. Definitely one to keep an ear on. Alright, that's my dive into the archives for today. Hope you found it as fascinating as I did. Catch you on the next frequency. No out.